Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the iconic bags of some of the fashion houses. I'm not going to be talking about all of them because I don't own all of them, and I really just want to talk about my own personal experience with some of these bags. But I know that these are popular. They're popular for a reason, and I wanted to address whether or not I would repurchase some of these handbags if I had to do it all over again. I think that's an important question to ask because I think a lot of people are always debating, should I get it, should I not get it? Okay, so the first brand we're going to be talking about is Dior, and this is the Lady Dior. This is called My Lady Dior because it comes with a strap with some like buttons that you can customize with, but this is the size small. Essentially, they come in a variety of different sizes. They have the mini, the small, a medium, and a large. And so this is kind of a good size for me in the classic red color. So I'm going to be completely honest and tell you that if I had the chance to purchase this again, would I? I think not. I got this brand new in 2019. I went on a beautiful trip on the Orient Express in Europe, and I bought this in Venice, and it was a very special and sentimental trip for me. It was also a really sentimental bag to pick up for that trip. Now, I will say that it was not on a whim. I did do a lot of research for months in advance, and actually I was looking for this bag pre-loved in this color, and I just could not find it in this size, in this color, in really good condition. So I guess if I could do it all over again, I guess I would just wait till I could find the perfect one on the pre-loved market. And that's just the tricky thing about the pre-loved market, is that you're just not going to find always the perfect bag in the perfect condition that you want at the price that you want. So it does take time and patience and luck sometimes. This is not a bag that I ever felt like I urgently needed to have. Not that any of these bags are, let's be honest. But you know, when you're a handbag enthusiast, sometimes there's some bags that feel a little bit more urgent than others, and this wasn't one of them. So just for a clean answer, I'm gonna say no. I would not repurchase this again, especially not full price. I will say I still love this bag. So yeah. Okay, so let's talk about a really easy one, and this fashion house is going to be Fendi. Fendi's iconic bag, I would say, is the Baguette, and this is my Baguette. This is my first Baguette, and I want to say I bought this, I want to say like 2017 or something like that. I just love this bag, and if you've been on my channel, then you know that I've waxed lyrical about the Fendi Baguette. I loved it so much that I got two more. So, you know, would I repurchase this again? Absolutely. The Fendi Baguette is iconic, yes, but I don't really care necessarily about icons and what's considered an icon. But I will say, in terms of just functionality, practicality, usability, and the fact that it's a leather that it's a Napa leather, but it's so smushy and just molds to your body if you get a leather like this, is so fantastic. And it's just not a bag that I'm too precious with, and yet it still continues to stay in such great condition. I love the gold hardware. I love the ease of use. I love how much space there is, that you can actually hold enough things in here that is very practical for every day. And you know what? It just really feels like a cool girl bag. Like, and I hate to say it in that way because I don't define myself at all as a cool girl. I'm just saying it's just so relaxed. It's so easy, and you know, I just love it. I really love it. I can't say anything bad about the Baguette. I wish I could. I really can't. But the Fendi Baguette is a no-brainer. It is definitely a hell yes. I would repurchase over and over again. Okay, we're talking about the Chanel Classic Flap, of course. The question always is the Classic Flap worth it? So the Classic Flap is the medium size. Mine is in gold hardware, caviar leather, and I absolutely love this bag. Now, if you're not familiar, it has a double flap, as I'm sure so many of you know. It's a beautiful structured bag. Okay, so this is a little bit more nuanced in my answer. Would I repurchase this? Yes, but I would probably go vintage. The reason for that is because, as we all know, Chanel does price increases every year, multiple times a year, and the price increases are on steroids. So I don't even know what the current price of this is, but last time I checked, it's double than what I bought this bag for. It's more than double, actually. I want to say my bag is about 10 years old. I brought it brand new from the boutique in New York. Now, is this bag iconic? Yes. Is it iconic because that's what Chanel tells us? I guess so. But I will say that, like, for me personally, I'm not like a black bag person. Like, I don't have 100 black bags in my collection. Black bags in general don't do it for me. They don't really tickle my fancy. And that's just a personal thing, just because I enjoy color. However, I will say that there is no other black bag that will elevate an outfit quite like the classic flap. A long time ago, I did a video on styling your classic flap, casualing it down so that you're not just saving it for special occasions. And I will say that I still stand by that. I just feel like there's nothing quite like the classic flap Chanel that really does the same thing or makes me feel in such a way that I feel like it elevates my outfit like no other black classic bag can. And that's kind of the honest truth for me. You know, take that for what you will. I know this is such a controversial bag. People are like, is it worth buying today? Hells to the no. It is not worth buying this bag full price today, and it's only gonna get worse. So I feel like I was lucky that I got in when I got in, and I got in at a time where the price was stable for years. I bought this at $4,900 and it had been $4,900 for a long time. So I kind of say that with a little bit of bias, knowing that yes, of course, that's like a crazy amount of money for a handbag, but I'm just talking in relative terms. So the short answer of would I repurchase this again is yes, but with a disclaimer of if I were to do it again 10 years ago, would I repurchase it? Yes. Would I do it today if this were not in my collection and I was just starting to put my collection together? The answer is no. I would buy it pre-loved. It's just not worth the full retail price today, and that's just the truth. It's just crazy how much they've hiked up the price on this, and so it's very nauseating. It's eye-watering. Yeah, it's not normal. But I do love this bag. Is it a functional bag? Not entirely. I will say that. So the classic flap is so beautiful and will elevate any outfit, as I said. It does have a double flap, and in some ways I find that to be really cool because, like, how many bags do you come across that has a double flap? Like, that's kind of cool to me. That's like a really interesting touch to me, in my opinion. However, I will say it's very annoying. So getting your stuff in and out is very annoying because not only do you have to lift this flap, which is normal, but then you've got to lift a shorter flap. So you've kind of got to do this and then pull this out to get your things out. So that does make it annoying from a practicality perspective. You can't carry that much because it is a quite structured bag. So the other thing that makes it really impractical is that the shoulder length is so short. So for me, who's only 5'2", it works for me. I'm not really a shoulder person, so I rarely, if ever, carry it like this. I carry it more crossbody. And as you can tell, this crossbody is very short. I happen to like a short crossbody, so it works for me. If you're taller than me, this thing's gonna be like up to your neck. So it's not practical from that perspective. It's a lot of money for what's kind of an impractical bag. So anyway, my answer is a bit nuanced, but I can appreciate how beautiful this bag is. And I do love it. Okay, Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton has a few bags that they call their iconic bags. And to name a few would be the Speedy, the Neverfull, the Alma, the No Way, and I don't know, I might be missing something else. But today I'm going to be addressing two of the bags for Louis Vuitton that I think are iconic, which is the Louis Vuitton Speedy B25 and, of course, my beloved Capucines. So let's talk about the Speedy B25 first. I have the monogram, which means that it was personalized with my initials, and I got to pick the colors, put my initials, and also pick the interior color, which is fuchsia in here, and I absolutely love it. This I would 100% do over and over again. I will say though, I would never get the Speedy bag that didn't have the monogram. I feel like without the monogram, it's kind of I think because I'm not really a brown person, I just felt like it was too much brown happening, too much monogram. I really feel like the monogram and the stripes really breaks up the whole monotony of the pattern, and I think that it really brightens things up and it makes it obviously a little bit more different, a little bit more interesting. And so for that reason, I would only get the monogram if I did the Speedy B over again. So I just really love this. I know it's a little bit controversial sometimes because it's got a sag to it. It doesn't have that much structure. There's a lot of vachetta that can discolor. It also gets really dark over time from the oils and from just, you know, oxidation and dirt and things like that. So I think for a lot of reasons, there are people who either really love the Speedy or just don't like it. So I love this bag, not because it's iconic, but really just because it's so practical. It is so useful. Literally such a good bag just to throw so many things in here. So for me, handbags are meant to be used. I 100% believe that. As much as I do believe they're art pieces, because they very much are art pieces for me. I love looking at them. I love having them sit on my shelves, but they have to be useful and functional for me, and I have to use my bags. And it just goes with every outfit. So it's not something I ever struggle with. 9 out of 10 times it'll work with my outfit. I just feel like this is so worth it in the monogram for me personally. But yeah, I really love this bag. Okay, so let's talk about the Capucines. Mine is the mini me. I have a tiny little baby Capucines that this came with, and it's in my closet, so not with me right now. But just generally speaking about the Capucines, it's a relatively new icon bag for Louis Vuitton. Hasn't been around for decades like the Speedy has, but it's a newer edition, and I would say a great addition. I will say when the Capucines first came out, I was not a fan of it, mainly because it came out in really big sizes in my opinion, and they seemed very clunky. So that didn't really appeal to me, but once the mini sizes came out, I was like, oh yes. And what makes it so special and interesting is that they come in so many different varieties as well. Unfortunately, you can't just see them online and scroll and see what your options are. This is a bag that you can only get in store, and the store options and varieties will vary from store to store, from region to region. And so that makes it a little bit tricky to know what all your options are. But I will say I love the Capucines. It took me a while to get on the Capucines train, but I think when you're a handbag enthusiast, there is definitely lots of different phases that you go through, and like your taste definitely develops. You get a real sense of identity of what you love in a handbag over time after you've bought and or sold so many. You just refine your taste a bit more, and you really get to know what works for you, what you really love, what you really appreciate, and what's worth it to you personally. So for me, this bag was very expensive, yes. And I've always kind of said, once I got this bag, I kind of had a taste for wanting another one. And that's where it kind of becomes a slippery slope. It's been a year since I got this bag, and I don't know that I will get another Capucines because it is so expensive. Never say never is what I've learned, okay? But would I repurchase this? 100% yes. Again, I think it's an acquired taste in terms of just developing your personal sense of understanding and knowing what you really love and appreciate out of handbags. For me, a Capucines is not only practical, yes, it doesn't hold like crazy amounts, so is it practical like a Speedy? No. But when it comes to the craftsmanship, when it comes to this leather specifically, there's nothing like it. And when you find the right colorway, when you find the right size, when you find the right design, you just kind of have to jump on it. And that's what I did here. This is a fabulous, beautiful art piece. This is so well made, and I can't deny its beauty. I really can't deny its beauty. And when a bag brings you that much joy, then you know that it's the right bag. Not to mention, you know, again, I still use this bag. Is it to the same frequency as a Speedy? No, but that's something that you have to go in knowing and understanding understanding before you buy a bag at this price point. What is my expectation of how often I'm gonna wear this bag? And if you go in knowing that you're not gonna wear it as an everyday bag, but you're still willing to kind of make that investment, then, you know, that's a personal decision, and that's a decision that I made and I'm okay with and I'm very comfortable with because I love this bag so much. So would I repurchase it? Yes, I would repurchase this, and I think the Capucines is so underrated. It is so beautiful. I love the fact that I think it is kind of underrated. It's not like the Birkin bag where everyone's like fawning and fighting over it and wanting it and whatever. I will say, I think Louis Vuitton does a really good job with kind of the allure of the Capucines. The fact that you can't buy it online, but that you can find it in store and you kind of don't know what you're gonna get because there's so many different varieties and options is kind of what makes it exciting. And you know, sometimes it's the hunt that makes it really exciting, or part of the excitement of finding that perfect bag because you didn't expect it. Like I knew that I was looking for Capucines when I went in looking for Capucines. I just didn't know what options there were in store. So from what I could choose, this, I was like, this stood apart for me from all the other ones. And that's when I knew that it was the right bag for me. So I do think they're doing something right in terms of just having it still attainable, but not really knowing what's out there and just sort of exploring the options in real time when you go into a store. They're doing something right with the marketing there. And you know, is it right or wrong? That's up to you. But I don't feel like it's at all the same as the Hermes game where you have to do the pre-spend and play the games and oh, it's not available. And you know, it's none of that. It's just kind of like, yeah, they have Capucines, but let's see what there is in that particular store, and it just varies. So what's worth it to me might very much be different to what's worth it to you and other people, and that's all very personal. So let me know in the comments, would you repurchase some of these iconic bags in your collection? I'd love to hear them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, I would really love it if you gave it a thumbs up. That really helps my small channel out. And if you want to binge watch any of my other videos, you can do that here, and I will see you next time.